You guys, let me just read off some headlines here. And again, if you haven't seen my update from earlier this afternoon, the views were down like 20 or 30%. I don't know what's going on, but the last couple of days, for some reason, every video I've posted has been down like 30%. I don't know what's going on, but check out my video if you haven't seen it from this afternoon, because there's a ton of information there. I'll recap it in this stream. But if you don't have time to wait for that, because I'm going to be covering other news, go and watch the update from this afternoon. But France is considering allowing its special forces and some other units to cross the Ukrainian border. Such a measure is seen as a means of creating a strategic dilemma for Russia. Okay, so France is going to be sending in their elite special forces. We don't know in what capacity, okay, but we do know France is going to be sending in special forces into Ukraine, okay? And Macron, the president, or I don't know, was he the prime minister, president? He's going to be convening a leader of all parties in the French parliament on March the 7th to discuss the war in Ukraine. Okay, so, this Monday, Macron hosted all the big European leaders to talk about whether or not to deploy forces into Ukraine. And, next week, they're going to be having a meeting in the French parliament to discuss the war in Ukraine. So it's possible he may decide something next week. They may decide to deploy forces. So this is pretty serious. That's how this whole situation could escalate. If NATO deploys forces, so. Hold on one second, guys. I'm just putting a title to this stream. So this is huge news, guys. Okay, remember last year, they were saying we're never going to deploy forces to Ukraine. We're never going to do that. And now they're actually considering it, So that's, pretty concerning. Now that they're actually considering it, talking about it, means eventually they're going to do it, right? Just like they did with the fighter jets, just like they did with the HIMARS. They were talking about it and thinking about it for a while, weighing the pros and cons. And then they finally decided to give Ukraine the HIMARS, to give them the M1 Abrams, the Leopard tanks, and now the F-16s. So the next step, you see how it's gradually escalating. First, it started with the HIMARS. That was the big debate. Should we give them HIMARS or not? We gave them the HIMARS. Then the next debate was, should we give them M1 Abrams or Leopard tanks? And then we did that, right? The next step was, should we give them the long-range cruise missiles, right? So we ended up giving them long-range cruise missiles from the UK, and the Storm Shadow missiles and the French Scalp missiles, right? And then we were going to give them the long-range missile for the HIMARS, and then it was the F-16s. And so, as you see, it's slowly, over time, it's more long-range weapons, more precision weapons, and more firepower, and it's just escalating. Okay, it started with the HIMARS. Now we're up to F-16s. And they're talking about the Taurus missiles going to Ukraine, which have a 500-kilometer range, which would theoretically allow Ukraine to strike targets as far as Moscow. Okay, and then the next step is going to be NATO forces, and they're starting with it's going to be just special forces. It's going to be advisors. Okay, and that's how it always starts, guys. Look at the Vietnam War. During the Vietnam War, they had, special forces, and advisors in Cambodia, in various Southeast Asian countries, and then eventually it turned into a full-scale war. Frankie says you've been showing and recommending your videos to the family. Thank you, Frankie. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So it's slowly getting more and more weapons, more precision, more firepower, and eventually, what I fear is going to happen is Putin is just going to launch nukes once he realizes that he cannot deal with the situation. He's just going to resort to using nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, it sucks, but that's the truth. Obviously, I don't want to see anything like that happen. I support Ukraine, but it is escalating. The situation this is a tug of war match between Russia and the U.S. That's what this is about, and neither side is backing down. It's just continuing to escalate. So that's very concerning. And then we have the Middle Eastern situation. Going back to these nuclear warplanes, we have this one here that's been up in the air like all afternoon and all evening. Guys, I can tell you I've never seen one fly in this type of a pattern before. And these planes rarely fly into New England. I mean, rarely. I can count maybe just a handful of times in the last 3 years that I've seen, and I've been tracking planes for about 3 or 4 years almost daily. And I can count just a handful of times that I've seen them fly up here into Maine. It's pretty unusual to see them go up into New England and hang out over here over the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. It's kind of strange. The Appalachians, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, it's not their typical pattern. What that means, I have no idea. But a very trusted source of mine, an experienced radio operator, is telling me that there's been some unusual radio activity, radio traffic today on the high frequency global communication system, which is the system that they use to communicate. That's the frequencies that they use for these planes to communicate with the Pentagon and our nuclear forces. And that's during a peacetime. During wartime, they would switch from that to VLF because the HF GCS would go down from the radiation. They wouldn't be able to use it. But during peacetime, that's what they use. They use high frequency, and the high frequency system has been very active today. Lots of emergency action messages, lots of unusual activity. An emergency action message is a nuclear attack option that is broadcasted by the Pentagon to our nuclear forces. Okay, so there's been a lot of them today. There's been an increase in the number. Here we have one of these nuclear war command and control planes. It was out in the Gulf of Mexico today doing loops. But I mean, this thing is still in the air, guys. These two planes have been in the air for the last 6 hours. Okay, that's pretty unusual. And there were already like 4 or 5 in the air by midday. Okay, that is pretty serious. Okay, let me show you some screenshots here from earlier. We had that Doomsday plane that I reported on in my update in the afternoon. It was in the air with its transponder, turning its transponder on and off. Very strange, behavior. It had its transponder on for a while, then it turned it off, then it was turning it back on, and it was looping over Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay, very strange situation. But here we have that Doomsday plane. You can see here over Nebraska, and then the 3 nuclear warplanes in the air at the same time. Okay, the E-6 Mercuries, and here we actually had 4 in the air this afternoon while the Doomsday plane was airborne. So that's a total of 4 right here. I think we had like 5 today, which is very high. Okay, anything over like 2 or 3 is considered elevated. Normally, you don't see more than 2. If it's like a peacetime, like before the war in Ukraine, I would see maybe 1 every other day. And now we're up to 5 or 6 every single day, plus doomsday planes turning their transponders on and off. Here's another shot of the doomsday plane, and you can see it was flying over northeastern Kansas, and it shut its transponder off near northeastern Kansas, just north of Kansas City. Okay, it took off from Offutt Air Base, and then it just shut its transponder. A transponder is like a locator. Okay, it tells all the planes in the area where you're located, and all the air traffic controllers. All right, so when they shut their transponder off, it's like driving at night without headlights. Nobody can see you. It's the same thing. They're going dark. They don't want anybody to see them. Okay, so usually they do that when something unusual is going on, but it was in the air for a while. Here we have more nuclear war command and control planes. We had Rough 07, which was the 5th one. And so we had 2 of them go out to the Gulf of Mexico today, 2 of them back to back. Okay. So get prepared, guys. Things are really spiraling out of control. And, it's unfortunate that, people they're not interested in this kind of stuff. They think that nothing bad is ever going to happen. They think, oh, this is just normal. It's normal for there to be 6 nuclear war command and control planes in the air every single day. Yeah, that's normal. Have you guys ever seen 6 police officers in front of your house? If you do see 6 police officers on your block or on your road, I'm sure it would cause alarm, wouldn't it? Maybe you see 1 every month, 1 every week, 1 every second day. That's fine. But if you saw 6 police officers patrolling down your road every single day, you saw, 6 police officers just going up and down your road once a day, twice a day, I'm sure that would cause alarm, wouldn't it? The people, they're in denial. They think, oh, this is normal. This is no big deal. This is just training. Yeah, they don't train for weeks at a time, guys. Okay. There's been, this activity has been going on for months, but specifically over the last 2 weeks, we've seen 5 or 6 every single day, even 7. Last week, there was one day where we had 7 of them in the air. Okay, you don't see that during a normal peacetime scenario. I'm sorry. Okay, something's going on. What that is, I have no idea. Okay, it's very concerning, guys. It's really I don't know what's going on. It could be because of Ukraine. Most likely because of Ukraine and NATO. That's what I think. The normalcy bias is very common. Yeah, it's the normalcy bias. Yep. That's absolutely what it is. Yeah. People just refuse to believe that anything bad could ever happen, and that, magically everything will be fine, So let me see. I had some other screenshots I wanted to show you. And here we have that doomsday plane, okay, flying around, turned its transponder back on after it had it off. We have a concerning situation developing in Moldova. Okay, the region known as Gargazia is now requesting that Russia annex them. Okay, and this area is very close to Ukraine and Romania, and they have formally requested that Russia annex them. Okay, so this is following in the footsteps of Transnistria. Okay, Transnistria. They were requesting the same thing. So get prepared. This could spiral out of control. I mean, if Russia were to annex Transnistria or Gagauzia, I mean that would be crazy, guys. I mean, then Russia could make a land bridge to the Black Sea, and NATO would be forced to go in, because I don't think NATO's going to allow Russia to take Moldova. And maybe that's why they had that meeting on Monday. Maybe that's why they want to send the troops into Ukraine, because they're afraid Russia is going to go for Moldova, and they're going to try to make a land bridge from Moldova to the Black Sea, because right now Moldova is isolated. It's landlocked. Okay. Transnistria is landlocked. Gagauzia is landlocked. And so the fear is that Russia could try to connect those breakaway regions to the Black Sea. And maybe that's why NATO had that meeting on Monday, and maybe that's why they want to send troops, because they're afraid, that Russia's going to try to go in, I don't know. So what's going on, Zion Walker? Good to see you. So, that's another thing we have to keep an eye on. And like I said, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, is going to be hosting a meeting of all political parties in France in the French parliament on March 7th to discuss the war in Ukraine. Okay, so I'm sure they're going to agree to deploy troops into Ukraine. I think that's what it's going to be about. Okay, and Britain is urging Germany to give Taurus missiles to Ukraine. This is coming from Bloomberg. Sources indicate that high-ranking British ministers and officials have repeatedly emphasized to Germany that Ukraine is in dire need of Taurus missiles. Okay. Let me just get through some other headlines. We had some type of strange, terror attack in northwest Poland in the city of Szczecin, which is right on the border of Germany. 17 people were injured from a car that drove through a crowd in Szczecin, Poland. A car plowed into crowds crossing a street in the Polish city of Szczecin on Friday, injuring 17 people, including 3 minors, officials said, adding that it was not a terror attack. So that's what the Polish officials are saying, but we don't know the truth. Apparently, 2 of the 3 minors are in critical condition. So apparently the person who caused the accident has been detained, and they haven't provided any details of the suspect. Police spokesman said the driver was a 33-year-old Polish citizen and reiterated that this was not a terror attack. So I don't know what to think about that, but they're saying not a terror attack. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was some kind of a Russian agent or something. I have no idea. Canada is considering sending troops to Ukraine in non-combat roles. Okay, under the right conditions, Canada is open to sending non-combat troops to Ukraine, Defense Minister Bill Blair says. And that's how it all starts, guys. That's how it starts. They start as we're not gonna send them in as combat troops. We're gonna send them in as advisors, and then eventually it goes to that. It goes to where they're sending in combat troops. That's just the start of it. And we haven't heard any updates about the balloons. I haven't heard any updates about the balloons. I don't know what the status is of that. So yeah, we don't know what happened with the balloon that flew over the country last week. They said that it was a hobby balloon, which I personally don't believe. John Robert White says prayers for Poland. Thank you, John. I appreciate the prayers. Thank you. Yeah, I mean it's hard to say. Spy balloon off of Alaska. Interesting. It's really interesting. It's really hard to believe what's real and what's not. Japan is planning for more bomb shelters for outlying islands amid growing concern over China-Taiwan tensions. The Japanese government recently revealed plans to build BOMB shelters on the outer islands of Okinawa Prefecture. This decision came as tensions between mainland China and Taiwan, as tensions rise between mainland China and Taiwan. Now, I reported in my video earlier that Taiwan is building anti-ship ballistic missile launchers on the southern part of Taiwan and the southwestern part of Taiwan. And the purpose of that is to take down any Chinese warships that would try to form a blockade around Taiwan. Okay, and so now Japan is building BOMB shelters. Okay, design guidelines for BOMB shelters to be completed next month, while evacuation proposals are being drawn up. Okay, so they're building the shelters and they're going to be making evacuation plans. That's very, very serious. According to the country's national broadcaster NHK, design guidelines for these shelters will be finished by March's end. With proposals then brought to local governments, it's anticipated that existing public buildings like schools and town halls will serve as suitable locations, with their basement levels being considered ideal spots for the shelters. Okay, just like I told you guys, school buildings, government buildings, the basements of them are really good shelters for fallout. In addition to constructing BOMB shelters, plans are being developed for the evacuation of civilians residing on remote islands housing Japanese military facilities, which could potentially be targeted. These plans, as detailed in recent defense white papers, propose evacuating residents either by sea or air to the main Okinawa island and subsequently to southern Kyushu. According to NHK, government officials have been looking at existing buildings on the island. They found sturdy concrete structures that could be adapted for shelter. These buildings would be reinforced with at least 30-centimeter thick concrete walls to endure missile and BOMB attacks. They would also have their power sources, communication systems, and storage for food and medicine. So that's pretty serious, guys. Okay, pretty serious. 30-centimeter thick concrete walls. That's pretty serious. Continuing on here, officials to modify existing buildings on outlying islands to provide shelter for residents with limited mobility. Tokyo worries that if there's a sudden conflict involving Taiwan near Japanese islands like Yanaguni, which is just 111 kilometers away from Taiwan, there might not be enough time for evacuation. This means residents would need to stay put and seek shelter. The proposal aims for each person to have 2 square meters of space and enough supplies to last for up to 2 weeks. The government's priority is to try to evacuate people who are living on the most remote islands and finally to transport them to Kyushu, Lita said, but they are also planning to build shelter for those who are not able to move immediately, he added. Evacuating an island like Yanaguni would be very challenging, so a more realistic approach is needed. Certain analysts propose that if China aimed to invade Taiwan, it might need to target U.S. military bases in Okinawa to eliminate the threat to the northern side of its invasion fleet. Lita noted that an attack on U.S. bases would also be seen as an assault on Japan's sovereign territory, necessitating a reaction. So very interesting, guys. More concerning news there. Apparently, Putin test-fired a nuclear missile today, right after his speech yesterday where he threatened the West. Russia has test-fired a nuclear missile just 24 hours after Vladimir Putin made a fiery nuke threat to the West. Kremlin commanders announced the test firing of a Yars ballistic missile, which can carry nuclear warheads. Video released by Russian state media showed the 50,000-kilogram 75-foot weapon being fired from a mobile missile launcher. It came as Putin swung his nuclear saber during a rambling 2.5 hour State of the Nation speech. The 71-year-old tyrant, who looked sickly and unsteady, threatened NATO not to intervene in Ukraine. He also bragged about his nuclear arsenal, once again warning he would use the devastating weapons if provoked by the West. Yars missiles, known to NATO forces as SS-29, can hit speeds of Mach 25 or nearly 20,000 miles per hour. So they tested the Yars. Now, what's interesting is the Yars is part of their. It's anything new. It's not anything new. The Yars is something that they've had for a while. And so for them to suddenly test one now is clearly like a show of force, because it wouldn't make, it's nothing new. It's not like it's in development and they need to test it because they want to see if it works. They've had it for a long time. So for them to suddenly test it now is a sign that, they're trying to scare the West, or, they're basically kind of like threatening us, trying to scare us with their missiles, because they've had the Yars missiles for many, many years. They first released them like 15 years ago, and they have like 160 of them mounted on trucks. And so, those trucks are pretty dangerous because they can move those trucks anywhere, and it's hard for us to see, where they are, because, you have a huge territory like Russia, huge piece of land, and they have 160 of these trucks. Each truck has a missile on it. Each missile can carry several warheads, and they can move that truck anywhere, and it's very difficult for us to pinpoint where those trucks are located. So it's definitely an intimidation tactic by Putin to suddenly test fire one of them. Clearly a show of force against NATO, after all the talk of NATO deploying forces to Ukraine. And let me read to you a little bit more. In a statement, the Russian military said at the Plesetsk State Test Cosmodrome, crews from the Yashkar Olah missile force conducted a combat training launch of a mobile-based solid propellant intercontinental ballistic missile, the Yars, equipped with a multiple warhead. Okay, so this is nothing new. This wasn't a new missile that they were testing. Like I said, the Yars, they've had it since Medvedev was president, over 10 years. Okay, this is one of their latest missiles. Okay, it was built to replace the Topol missiles, which were the missiles that they used in the 80s and 90s. Okay, so like I said, for them to suddenly test this missile is a intimidation tactic. And Yashkar Olah is where they have one of their garrisons, their main garrison for these mobile launchers. Okay, so they did a test of one of their main mobile launching garrison. They took a random truck probably out of their main garrison, and they suddenly decided to test it to show that it works. Essentially, that would be like us, suddenly testing, a Trident missile, okay, and just picking a random submarine from our Ohio class fleet and then just shooting a missile. That's what they did. Okay, the Yashkar Olah is their main mobile missile launcher base. Okay, the training warheads arrived at the designated area at the Kura training ground on the Kamchatka Peninsula. The purpose of the launch was confirmation of the tactical, technical, and flight characteristics of the modern missile system. All assigned tasks were completed in full. Okay, so not good, guys. Not good. More bad news there. Spy balloon off of Alaska. Okay, thank you, Ross. I saw your first comment. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I can't start looking into it now. I'll have to check a little later. I have to go through other news first. So that's going to have to wait. So, I still have to see if it's real or fake. A lot of this information that comes out these days is fake. So you got to screen it first and see if it's BS or not. Um, so let me see. What else did I have here to show you? Some French Mirage fighter jets intercepted a Russian Sukhoi 30 fighter jet and a Russian Antonov 72 transport plane over the Baltic Sea. And they have video footage here from NATO. Let me show you guys this footage here. So here we have the French Mirage 2000 fighter jets. And you can see they're flying near this Russian Sukhoi 30 right there. Okay. So this is the Sukhoi 30, this one right here on the bottom. Look how close they are. So the French jet is up top and the Russian jet is on the bottom. I mean, they are just yards apart. Look how close they are. And I don't know if that one there is another Russian jet. Okay. I mean, look how close they are, guys. You're talking 50 yards apart, maybe 25 yards apart here. I mean, that is just, they're right on top of each other. Okay. All it takes is one mistake and things will escalate. Okay. They're just super close to each other. Yeah, the whole there's no Chinese spy balloon off the coast of Alaska. That's fake news. There apparently that balloon was off of Alaska last month, from January 28th to February 4th. That's not now, Ross. So, yeah, there's no spy balloon off of Alaska now. And this was last year. This is something from last year that you sent me, Ross. So yeah, there's no Chinese spy balloon off the coast of Alaska. Disregard. For those of you guys in the chat, there's no spy balloon off of Alaska. That information you sent me, Ross, was from last year. I don't see anything else. I don't see any information about it. If that changes, then I'll definitely update you guys. But as far as I know, there's no confirmation of it anywhere. Ukrainian official says Russia is massing forces around the key city in the country's east. Russia is accumulating large forces around Chasiv Yar in eastern Ukraine as it seeks to make a breakthrough in the Donetsk region, a Ukrainian official said Friday. Ilya Yevlash, spokesperson for the operational group overseeing the Eastern Front line, told Radio Free Europe that Russian forces were concentrating efforts to make a powerful push on the key strategic city to the west of Bakhmut, which fell to Russia last May, hoping to advance towards Konstantinivka, Kramatorsk, and Sloviansk. Okay, so that's very concerning, guys. They're going to push further west. Okay, they're going to take more swaths of territory. Russia's going to take more territory, it looks like. Someone said, Ross said the mainstream media is reporting on it. I didn't see that anywhere, but send me an article if there's anything. 2 balloons of some type over Salt Lake now, says private owner. Interesting. 2 days ago, fishermen found remains of a balloon in the water and sent it to the FBI. Okay. Okay. Jane Alaska says, look at Anchorage Daily News. Okay. Yeah. So they found remains of the balloon, but it's not in the air right now. Am I right? It's not in the air now. They found remains. So, we have this interesting video footage of a UFO that the Ukrainian military caught on one of their thermal drones. Very interesting. I don't know what to make of this. Let me know what you guys think here. There's like this horizontal line in the center of the screen there. If you look closely. There it is. You see that? That's weird. So they're asking, why can't he fire missiles at us? What do you mean? Holy expletive, expletive. What the expletive is this? Why isn't it moving? I'm telling you, it's a UFO for sure. It is staying in place on the screen. Zoom in more. So then they zoom in. You see when they zoom in and there's this thing just floating in the air. It's standing still. Do you see? Can't see anything on the thermal cameras. Maybe ram it. And then they start laughing. So that's really weird, guys. I don't know what to make of that. Look at that. That's pretty weird. I don't know what to make of that, but pretty interesting. Thought I would just share that with you. So let me see, what else do I have here for you guys. I'm going to just go over some of the headlines from my update earlier because it seems like a lot of people didn't see it. So we have Moldova's Gagauzia requesting protection from Russia. The pro-Russian president of Gagauzia, Evgenia Gutsel, said the Moldovan administration violates the rights of the Gagauz people and oppresses them in every way. And the Russian Federation Council President Valentina Matvienko, who visited Gagauzia, said Russia is ready to provide all kinds of assistance. We are open to suggestions from the Gagauz region on this issue, and we will take concrete steps accordingly. Okay, so that's not a good sign. Let's see what else here. Oh, the Kremlin called the statement by Lloyd Austin extremely irresponsible today. Lloyd Austin said yesterday that if Ukraine loses to Russia, that NATO forces will have to battle against Russia. And the Kremlin said that that was responsible. Ukraine is evacuating all families with children from 18 villages in the Kharkiv Oblast. This was reported by Oleg Sinyahubov, the head of the Kharkiv military administration. Okay, so Ukraine is evacuating families with children from 18 villages, 18 townships, actually. They call them hromadas, okay? Hromadas is like a township, okay? 18 townships, guys. That's a large area. So they're obviously concerned that Russia is going to be coming through. So they're evacuating kids and families, okay? So that's not a good sign. What's going on, Earth Angel Anna? Good to see you. Samuel DeMarco says Fox broke the news an hour ago. The balloon was found in the water by fishermen. Okay. Yeah, see, that's different, because people were making it seem like it was in the air right now. and that's why that's an important detail that you can't neglect, because if something being in the air now and then something found in the water, I mean, who knows when that balloon went down, and if it's even Chinese or any kind of hostile balloon. We don't know anything about it. So it's too premature. Mike Subchinsky, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Hey, Greg, buy some good to drink. I do not know what you drink, my friend, but buy something for me. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that donation. Thank you very much. So thank you, Ross, for the information. I appreciate it. But it looks like it was in the water, so we don't know, when it fell in the water. We don't know. That UFO, I mean, I it was just posted today, so I don't know how old it is. I'm not sure. But thank you for the donation, Mike Subchinsky. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a good Friday night. So yeah, I don't know how old that UFO footage is. I have no idea, to be honest. Let me see here. Let's read this from the Institute for the Study of War. They posted this yesterday. Ukrainian officials are reportedly concerned about the possibility of significant Russian territorial gains in the summer of 2024 in the event of continued delays in Western security assistance. Bloomberg reported that internal Ukrainian assessments state that Russian advances along the front line could gain significant momentum by summer 2024 unless Ukraine's partners increase provisions of artillery. Bloomberg reported that sources close to Ukrainian leadership stated that Ukraine expects Russian forces to decide between continuing their current focus on gradual tactical advances and preparing for a larger breakthrough attempt in the summer of 2024, depending on the results of the current Russian offensive operations. So they're trying to decide whether they're going to do a full-scale counter-offensive, or if they're going to try to continue these limited tactical advances like they've been doing in Avdiivka and other places. Ukrainian President Zelensky stated on February 25th that Russian forces are preparing for a new offensive that will start in late May or summer 2024. Russian forces are currently trying to exploit tactical opportunities offered by the Russian seizure of Avdiivka and are attempting to push as far possible in the area before Ukrainian forces establish harder to penetrate defensive lines. Okay, and that's like where Chasiv Yar is. Chasiv Yar, where they're fortifying and where Russia's concentrating their forces. That's where Ukraine is trying to fortify Chasiv Yar. They're building like big concrete walls. And I showed you guys that in an update like a couple days ago. So, Russian forces may determine to adjust future offensive operations based on the level of success they have in attacking subsequent Ukrainian defensive lines west and northwest of Avdiivka, and Ukrainian defenses in the Avdiivka area may impact Russian perceptions of the wider state of Ukraine's defense along the front line. Russian forces are also conducting a multi-axis offensive operation along the Kupiansk Svatove Kremina line, but have not made any recent significant gains in the area. And the relative success or failure of that effort could similarly influence how the Russian military command views Russian prospects for operationally significant advances. Russia's ability to make operationally significant advances still largely depends on the level of Western support for Ukraine. Well-provisioned Ukrainian forces have proven that they can prevent Russian forces from making even marginal gains. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but looks like they're preparing for some kind of big offensive against the Ukrainians. Okay, we'll have to wait and see. And Russia is accusing Germany of helping the Ukrainians to strike the Crimean Bridge with Taurus missiles. Apparently, they intercepted some conversations among German high-ranking military officials and they were discussing how many Taurus missiles it would take to destroy the Crimean Bridge, and so very interesting. Let me read to you what they said. This is coming from RIA Novosti, which is a Russian news agency, state-run. The Bundeswehr Air Force inspector who took part in the discussion of the attack on the Crimean Bridge allowed the transfer of 100 Taurus missiles to Kyiv in 2 batches. So apparently they already sent the Taurus missiles to Kyiv. The German military discussed the possibility of attacking with these missiles using a Dassault Rafale fighter. A Bundeswehr representative said that Taurus missiles, when delivered to Ukraine, will be ready for use in 8 months. One of the participants in the conversation doubted whether the strike on the bridge would be effective and asked how many missiles it would take. It may not require 10 or even 20 missiles. The issue of transferring Taurus missiles to Kyiv has been actively discussed in Germany lately. The Bundestag recently adopted a draft resolution on the supply of long-range weapons, but without specifying the type. At the same time, Olaf Scholz has repeatedly stated that he is against such supplies. The German military, in a document, touches on the topic. One of them says that no one knows why the chancellor is blocking these supplies. So this is interesting, guys. It looks like Germany has been working with Ukraine to try to take out the Crimean Bridge, allegedly. Okay, that's what Russia is claiming, that they have cables or something that leaked out. So very, very interesting. Very interesting. So the situation in Ukraine is just, continuing to escalate. It's just getting worse and worse. Unfortunately, just keeps getting worse and worse. Let's just check out some of the radiation, see what the radiation levels are like in Ukraine, if everything's okay over there with the radiation and looks good. There's no big spikes anywhere here. Zaporizhzhia looks fine. So that's good news. Isaac Diaz, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. I hope you're having a good Friday. Thank you for all you do for us. God bless you, bro, and your family. Thank you, Isaac. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the donation. Thank you very much. You see, I'm going to slow down the chat just a little bit. New York Adventurer says, I hate when ads interrupt streams, especially when it's important streams like this one. Thank you, New York Adventurer. I appreciate it. It's good to see you in here, and thanks for all your support. Let me see here. Zelensky said that Kharkiv is not safe enough for residents to return. Kharkiv is not yet safe enough for residents to return to the city, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said at a press conference with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte on March the 1st. As for the return of Kharkiv residents, you see, I don't think Kharkiv is so protected at the moment that I can advise people to return, Zelensky stated. This is the choice of Kharkiv residents. So, wow, Zelensky saying that Kharkiv is not safe enough to return, and then now they're evacuating 18 townships of families with children. Yeah, that's a red flag, guys. That means potentially Russia is going to try to go after Kharkiv again. Bulgaria is going to stop importing Russian oil. Ukraine has signed a long-term security agreement with the Netherlands. That's very interesting. Vladimir Zelensky and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte signed a 10-year agreement on security cooperation between Ukraine and the Netherlands in Kharkiv, Zelensky announced on March the 1st. The document includes 2 billion euros in military aid from the Netherlands this year, as well as further defense assistance over the next 10 years. It also prioritizes the provision of air defense, artillery, sea, and long-range capabilities, with a particular emphasis on strengthening Ukraine's air force. The Netherlands joins the UK, Germany, France, Denmark, Italy, and Canada, which have signed similar deals to help Ukraine repel Russia's aggression based on a decision made by the Group of Seven last July. So the Netherlands is going to be delivering 24 F-16s, guys. They're giving them 24 F-16s. It's pretty serious. So it looks like the next big battle is going to be Chasiv Yar. That's the city in eastern Ukraine. That's going to be the next big battle after Russia took Avdiivka. They're going to go after Chasiv Yar. They're concentrating their forces there now. So that's going to be the next big thing. Poland started their blockade of the Lithuanian border, and they're also blockading the Ukrainian border right now. Mike Subchinsky, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hope you're having a good Friday night. Thank you so much. Looks like you gifted 10 memberships. Thank you. Mike Subchinsky says, buy a few more drinks. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. You're so kind. Thank you very much. Bailey says Putin plans to stoke conflict in Africa with private militias, weaponizing the flow of migrants to try and influence European elections. Yeah, very possible. I think this whole thing with the Polish farmers blockading the Ukrainian border, I think that could be some kind of Russian operation there, potentially, to try to drive a wedge between Ukraine and Poland. You know, it could be the work of like the Russian FSB or something. So let me see what other stuff that I want to share with you guys here. We had the funeral of Navalny today, and there were a lot of people that turned out for Navalny's funeral. And Lithuania has closed down 2 more border crossings with Russia. Here's some footage of the Lithuanian police putting up fences along the border here with Belarus. Okay, you see that? They're putting up these fences here to block the border. Okay. So there's only going to be 2 border crossings now between Lithuania and Belarus. That's pretty concerning. Okay. I think Estonia has shut down their entire border with Russia. Finland has shut down their entire border with Russia. Lithuania now basically shut down almost their entire border and Poland also shut down most of their border crossings. So things are really escalating over there. So we have lots of emergency action messages today, guys. Lots of emergency action messages coming out. So I'll keep an eye on that for you. We have a new article here from the Institute for the Study of War about the situation in Moldova. This is very interesting. Interesting. Kremlin officials met with the leaders of the pro-Russian Moldovan Autonomous Region Gagauzia and emphasized Russia's support for Gagauzia against perceived Moldovan oppression on March 1st. So Russian forces made confirmed advances near Avdiivka and Donetsk city. This is being reported by the Institute for the Study of War. They're saying that Russia has made confirmed gains today around Avdiivka and Donetsk. So there's some more details that came out about this peace agreement that Russia proposed to Ukraine. They wanted limits on Ukraine's military. So it's no wonder why Ukraine didn't accept the treaty, because they would have had to limit the amount of tanks they have, the amount of troops and stuff. And eventually Russia would just invade anyway, you know? So it's no surprise. So that's no surprise there. They wanted limits on Ukraine's military, okay, which is, just crazy. How can you tell another country how many troops they can have? That's insane. And that would have just opened the door to an invasion anyway, because Ukraine would have a very weak military, and then Russia would just go in, and attack them. Mike Subchinsky, thank you for gifting 5 more memberships. You're so kind. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. God bless. Soil radio operator says strong high frequency signal alert. Russian military OFDM data mode detected, ongoing transmission, large data file broadcast. So what does that mean, Soil? Is this a Russian military broadcast? Are they going to launch some kind of big attack or something? What does that mean? G.I. Joe says, do not believe this crap. Are you talking about me? Are you saying that I'm a crap? Are you saying that I'm fake? Is that what you're talking about, G.I. Joe? God Soldier says there was a meteor over Russia. Interesting. Yeah, I think I heard about that. Bailey says China is growing its military capabilities in space at a breathtaking pace. Yes, I heard about that too, Bailey. Thank you for reporting that. Let me just show you guys all this reconnaissance over Poland yesterday. This was last night. Look at all these reconnaissance planes. This is insane, guys. Multiple, reconnaissance planes here. You had an AWACS plane in eastern Poland, not far from Belarus. There was an Italian reconnaissance plane over northeastern Poland. We had a Swedish reconnaissance plane over northern Poland along the border with Kaliningrad. We had a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling the coast of Kaliningrad. So there were like 4 recon planes just in Poland alone, or focusing on Poland or Kaliningrad. There were actually 3 in Poland, but then you had 1 off the coast here. So that is just insane. And it's been like that every single day, basically. Every single day. So, and here we have some activity that was over Norway last night. We had an AWACS plane that went up to like northern Norway, and it was looping over here off the coast of northern Norway. We had a P-8 Poseidon, a U.S. sub-hunter plane that was patrolling off of Murmansk, which is where Russia has 2/3 of their nuclear-armed submarines. So, get prepared, guys, okay? I mean, this is not normal, okay? This level of activity is not normal. Soil, let me see. Did Soil get back to me? Soil Radio about that Russian military transmission. So yeah, a lot of amateur radio operators are saying that there's a lot of Russian military radio traffic today. Some unusual traffic. Not sure what's going on. Cat Sui, how's it going, Cat Sui? Good to see you. Oh, thank you, Bailey. Yeah, I saw your video. I just didn't have a chance to share it. I didn't have a chance to share it. B-2 stealth bomber flying over Missouri today. Video sent to me by Bailey. Thank you very much. Yeah, there was a stealth bomber in the air this evening tonight. Let's see. Here's a close-up shot of that AWACS plane that was patrolling off of Norway. Okay. Very strange. And look at all these NATO cargo planes, NATO military transport planes that were flying to Norway last night, going in and out of Norway, different areas. Look at this, guys. Multiple C-130s, 2 Airbus A400s from Luxembourg and Belgium. I mean, that's a lot of stuff being moved around. So they're fortifying Scandinavia. Sandman, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you, Sandman. Thank you so much. Hopkinson says Greg is not fake. Thank you, Hopkinson. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. But yeah, I have an eyewitness that lives near Whiteman Air Force Base, and this person told me there was a B-2 in the air this evening, okay, over northern Missouri. Thank you again, Sandman, for that donation. I really appreciate it. Let me see here. I wasn't able to translate that note that was found inside of a balloon written in Russian. It was found in like Massachusetts. I wasn't able to find a translation. Let me read to you some information though about this possible spy balloon that was found off the coast of Alaska. Commercial fishermen brought the unmanned object to shore so it can be investigated by the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia. Fishermen have found a suspected spy balloon off the coast of Alaska that will be handed over to the FBI. The commercial fishermen are bringing the unmanned object to shore so it can be investigated at the FBI lab in Quantico. They are expected to hand over the balloon to federal officials this weekend. The discovery comes just over a year after a high-altitude Chinese spy balloon was shot down off the coast of South Carolina while traversing across the U.S. The origin of the latest balloon is unclear, but CNN reported that federal law enforcement saw enough evidence that it could be foreign-owned. Okay, so that's the latest with the balloon found. It wasn't flying. It was found by fishermen, so it was floating. Okay, and they sent it to the FBI. I don't know how the FBI is going to do anything. They're not trained in military stuff, so I don't know why the FBI would be involved. But and Moldova already sent out draft notices to people in Moldova. They're drafting people in Moldova, guys. Okay, Moldova is drafting their citizens, because they know that Russia is going to make a move soon. We're hearing some reports from Israeli media saying that Israeli leaders are increasingly seeing no option except military action to push Hezbollah away from the border. The IDF may strike in Lebanon during a ceasefire in Gaza. That's very interesting. Let me read to you this. We have a full transcript of. Oh man, it's very long. I don't know if I'll read the whole thing. Wow. Apparently, this is a leaked transcript of high-ranking German officials discussing the transfer of Taurus missiles to Ukraine and talking about taking out the Crimean Bridge. We don't know how true this is. This was apparently intercepted by the Russian military or the Russian intelligence. Could be fake. It's hard to say if it's real or not. But I guess I'll read it to you anyway. I'll read some of it. So it says here, on February 19th, 2024, the following conversation took place between the head of the Operations and Exercises Department of the Bundeswehr Air Force Command, the Bundeswehr Inspector Gerhardt, and the employees of the Bundeswehr Space Command Air Operations Center Fensky and Frostetki. So it says here, okay, we need to verify the information. As you have already heard, Defense Minister Pistorius intends to carefully consider the issue of supplying Taurus missiles to Ukraine. We have a meeting planned with him. Everything needs to be discussed so that we can start working on this issue. So far, I do not see that the start date of these deliveries has been indicated. It was not like the Chancellor told him, I want to get information now, and tomorrow morning we will make a decision. I haven't heard anything like this. On the contrary, Pistorius evaluates this entire ongoing discussion. I don't know if I'm going to read this whole thing. It's just a conversation between these guys. They're talking about different types of missiles and stuff like that. it's a lot of stuff to comb through. But yeah, apparently they were discussing transferring the missiles to Ukraine and taking out the Crimean bridge and stuff like that. Um, Here we have some video footage coming out of Russia. This was earlier today during the Navalny funeral. Let me play this for you. Lots and lots of people standing in the streets. So you can see a ton of people here for this funeral for Navalny. Look at that, guys. Massive amounts of people. Um, just a ton of people. Uh, Let me see here. Here's some footage of Navalny's casket when it was going into the church. I mean, how sad. I mean, Navalny had two kids. He was a father. He had two kids. He was an Orthodox Christian. A really sad situation, and he was murdered by Putin. There, there's Navalny's casket right there. I wasn't a huge follower of Navalny or anything. I don't really know much about him, to be honest. I just remember when he exposed all the massive mansions that Putin has. You know, Putin has like mansions worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he exposed that. But a very sad situation there. Um, and there was the Oman. Oman is the special police in Russia. That's like Putin's elite special units. Let me see here. So very sad situation, guys. Let me see. We have some more footage here. More people chanting. I think they were chanting Putin is a murderer here. I think they're just actually they're just saying Navalny, Navalny. I think so. Thank you for tuning in, Diva's mom. Good to see you. And I hope you have a good rest of your night. Thanks for tuning in. Mockingjay, you're going too. Good night, Mockingjay. Or were you saying good night to someone else? I don't know. Um, we could see the situation in Russia. It may not happen now, but I'm sure they're going to plan something. Especially, I'm looking for election day when supposedly this election for Putin, basically Putin's going to reelect himself. When Putin reelects himself, we could see something happen then. I don't know when that's going to be, in like a couple of, not too long. I think it's like mid May or late May, or March. I mean, so in like 2 or 3 weeks, um, that election in Russia is going to take place. So we could see something happen then with the Russian Navalny supporters. What's going on, Rip Curl? How's it going? What's going on, Jeff Carrera? I saw your comments earlier. I just didn't respond. How's it going, Britt Jewell? New York Adventurer says, I can't blame them if they're chanting Putler is a murderer. I mean, he attacked an innocent country just for existing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. What's going on, Smoking Swamp? Good to see you. March 15 to 17. So, yeah, in 2 weeks. Good night, Mockingjay. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a good weekend, I guess, if I don't see you. Let me see here. And here we have the Russian Oman forces. Okay. Look how they have to deploy these riot gear, these police with riot gear for a funeral. I mean, how paranoid are they? It's insane. It's just absolutely crazy. This is Oman. Oman is the elite, forces of the Russian president. They're like the elite. They're like the enforcers. Oman is there. Okay, so this is pretty crazy, guys. Pretty insane. There were some people that got arrested, actually. There were some people that got arrested. I know that. So, and we had hundreds of Chinese aircraft around Taiwan detected in February. 271 Chinese military aircraft detected around Taiwan. 86 air defense incursions. 26 weather spy balloons, 163 warships, 4 joint combat patrols, and 2 satellite launches, and 9 direct overflights just in February alone. Okay, that is absolutely insane. That is just crazy. Tempe Mays says, love your channel. Thank you, Tempe. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. See, U.S. Central Command just put out an update. Are they talking about the Houthis again? I heard that the Houthis were attacked today, so that could have been related to that. Let me see what Central Command had to say. Central Command is full of crap. I usually don't believe anything they say. They always downplay everything. We have a Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer coming into Japan today. The USS McCampbell just entered Yokosuka, Japan. Here's a picture of it. So, a guided missile warship. Let's see what other ships are coming in. Also, the USS Ralph Johnson just came into China as well. Another Arleigh Burke class ship. So 2 Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyers coming into Japan today. Okay, these are the destroyers that carry Tomahawk missiles. All right, so 2 of them came into Japan today. Let's see if there's any other interesting ships that recently departed today. Okay, let me see what Central Command had to say. Central Command, they're usually full of crap. But I did hear that earlier this morning there were some strikes. Look at that ship. That's a nice looking ship. Look at all the radars and everything. Check that out. It's some of the finest American warships ever built. What's going on, Roaming Prepper? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Charles and Christina says my oldest son is on a battleship. Well, I'm gonna keep your oldest son in my prayers. That must be a really cool job that he has. Probably gets to do a lot of fun stuff. He's probably having a lot of fun, I'm sure. Let me read some stuff here to you. So we have an update that was just put out by the U.S. Central Command on the Red Sea. On March 1st at approximately 12:40 p.m. Yemen time, U.S. Central Command forces conducted a self-defense strike against one Iranian-backed Houthi surface-to-air missile that was prepared to launch from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen towards the Red Sea. CENTCOM forces identified the missile and determined it presented an immediate threat to U.S. aircraft in the region. At 10:46 p.m. Yemen time, the Houthis launched one anti-ship ballistic missile from Yemen into the Red Sea. There was no impact or damage. Yeah, I reported on that. I heard from various sources in Yemen this morning. I heard that there were some strikes on Western Yemen, so it looks like they're just confirming that now. Interesting. Let's see. What else did I want to go through here with you? We have some breaking news coming out of Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The IAEA experts at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant reported hearing a kaboom near the plant, followed by the sound of gunfire near or at the plant early on Wednesday morning. Wow, this is brand new, guys. This just came out right now. So all you guys that are tuning in, you're getting a head start to the breaking news, because I'm going to report this tomorrow in my update in the morning. So you guys are all getting a head start here. You're beating everybody else. So this is the IAEA. That's the UN Atomic Energy Agency. And this is looks like they just put this out now. Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has been without backup power for the past 10 days, leaving the facility entirely dependent on its only remaining 750 kilovolt line for the external electricity it needs to cool its 6 reactors and for other essential nuclear safety and security functions. Director Rafael Mariano Grossi said today The IAEA experts stationed at the site reported that the ZNPP expects the 330 kilovolt backup power line to be reconnected soon, perhaps even later today. But the plant's off-site power situation remains a source of deep concern, Director General Grossi said. Out of a total of 10 off-site power lines available before the conflict, 4 750 kilovolt and 6 330 kilovolt, only one remains operational today. Even if one backup line becomes available again, it is far from sufficient, Director General Grossi said. So normally they have 6 backup power lines, and now they don't have any, and they're going to try to bring this one back up, which should be back up any day now. But even then, you're going from 6 backup power lines to just one. And then they had 4 primary lines. They had 4 750 kilovolt line, and now they only have one. Okay, so that is very serious, guys. If one of those power lines goes down, this power plant is not going to be able to cool itself. Okay, it's not going to have electricity. They're going to have to turn the generators on. And, in a war zone, maintaining a generator is a lot different than, during peacetime. You got to get fuel in there. You have to keep it refueled. You have to constantly keep that generator going until you fix the main power line. Otherwise, it's going to melt down. Okay. So this is very concerning. Europe's largest nuclear power plant has suffered 8 instances of a complete loss of offsite power in the last 18 months, forcing it to rely on emergency diesel generators. In the history of nuclear energy, this is an unprecedented situation and clearly not sustainable. I remain extremely concerned about nuclear safety and security at the plant. Okay, this is the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency saying he remains extremely concerned about the nuclear safety and security. Okay, that's pretty serious, guys, for him to say he's extremely concerned. And they had 8 instances of off-site power being lost, which is unprecedented in the history of nuclear energy. There's never been any power plant in the world that has lost off-site power that many times in such a short period of time. So, that's another thing that could, pop off. Aldo Schmedak, thanks for tuning in. Have a good night. Hope you're doing well. It was good to see you in here. Yes, you're getting a head start, Ross. That's right. You're getting a head start. This is in Ukraine, the Zaporizhzhia power plant. This is the power plant that Ukraine used to control. It's a Ukrainian power plant, and then Russia took it. So now Russia is in control of it. And, there's been a lot of close calls, essentially, since Russia took it over. Aldo says, be back grabbing supper. Sounds good. Enjoy. Let's see what else here. Further underlining the persistent dangers facing the plant, the IAEA team has continued to report about the sound of kabooms and other indications of military activity in the area, which is on the front line of the conflict. Early on Wednesday morning, the experts heard a kaboom some distance away from the plant, followed by what appeared to be small arms fire close to or on the site. Wow, that is huge, guys. Okay, small arms fire close to or on the site itself. The ZNPP informed the IAEA team that Russian troops had taken measures to protect the plant against drones in the area, but that the ZNPP itself had not been attacked and there was no damage or casualties. No further details were immediately available of this incident. The IAEA experts requested access to the area, but were told there was no damage to inspect and that the area was outside the plant's control. So maybe they shot down some Ukrainian drones that were coming in. I don't know if I believe that, though. I mean, why would Ukraine send drones to a nuclear power plant? I mean, that would be kind of stupid. I don't know. Earlier this week, the plant informed the IAEA team that a drone attack had already occurred in Enerhadar on Sunday evening, targeting a roof with telecommunications equipment, the latest in a series of reported drone strikes in the town where many plant staff live. The following day, the IAEA experts went to Enerhadar to see the building where the attack purportedly took place. The team was able to observe the outside of the building. No signs of damage were visible at the time of visit. Throughout the week, the experts conducted walkdowns across the ZNPP site, including the cooling pond facilities, as well as the cooling towers and sprinkler ponds, which provide cooling water for the 6 reactors, 5 of which are in cold shutdown and 1 in hot shutdown. The sprinkler ponds are full and continue to receive cooling water from the 11 groundwater wells, which were constructed after the destruction of the downstream Kakhovka Dam in 2023. The team also visited the isolation gate of the discharge channel of the Zaporizhzhia thermal power plant, but they were not able to access the isolation gate of the large ZNPP cooling pond. So the thermal power plant is like a coal plant that's right next to the nuclear plant. And then they weren't able to get access to the giant cooling pond, which many people were afraid would dry up after the Russians blew the dam. During the past week, the IAEA experts conducted a walkdown of the safety systems rooms of Reactor Unit 5, observing that routine testing of some safety system pumps was underway. The team also visited the 2 fresh fuel storage facilities on the site. During the walkdowns conducted by the IAEA experts over the past week, they observed that anti-personnel mines were once again visible within the perimeter fences that are inaccessible to personnel after they had appeared to be gone in February. Wow. Very, very interesting. So suddenly, suddenly these anti-personnel mines have popped back up around the plant. Okay, so they put like claymores all over it, all around it, in case Ukraine tries to come in and seize it, take it back. They have claymores there. The Russians do. Okay, they have claymores. I'm not sure if you guys know what claymores are. If you watch any war movie, you'll know what they are. They're just an anti-personnel, mine, basically. Open Minds, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Good to see you in here. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good night, Joe. Thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you. I have to catch up with you and see what's going on with you. Jeff Carrero says there's a situation in my building, lots of banging and a woman screaming. Wow, that doesn't sound too good. Rach S says, I love this channel. Thank you, Rach. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I see Mocking Jay is still up. I thought you were going to sleep. Good to see that you're still here. Jeff Roberts says Russia can't do a thing to stop foreign troops going to Ukraine, period. He'll only whine and saber rattle, but he will actually do nothing. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is if, let's say, NATO does send troops to Ukraine, the only thing I could see Russia doing is just dropping nukes on Ukraine. I don't think they would go after NATO itself because they know that would mean, nuclear war. But I could see them nuking Ukraine as a result. Charles and Christina, thank you for the donation. I hope you're doing well. Chris Dunlop says Greg is the best. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Good night, Kin Koi. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Good to see you, and I hope everything's going well with you. Um, so just absolutely crazy, guys. It's just crazy situation here at this power plant. It's very, very serious situation going on. So small arms fire and drone attacks now happening uh, at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Let me see here. Want to just read to you this update coming from the Institute for the Study of War. The latest info on the situation on the front lines and everything. I want to read to you about that. The Institute for the Study of War said that the details of the treaty that Russia proposed to Ukraine to prevent war 2 years ago, before the war started, the Institute for the Study of War is saying that the details of the draft treaty suggest that Russia intended to use the treaty to set conditions for future attacks against Ukraine, while also prompting the West to make concessions on Ukraine's sovereignty. And that's basically what I was saying. The Russians were full of crap. It's not that they wanted peace, that they really truly wanted peace with Ukraine. It's they just wanted to weaken Ukraine and then attack them later after Ukraine has weakened themselves, essentially, to abide by the treaty. What's going on, Trisha Mills? Yeah, it has been a while. Good to see you. Good to see you, Trisha Mills. Seems like you always pop up on my channel anytime we talk about Ukraine a lot. And it looks like the Ukraine situation is going to boil over this summer. So I'm going to be monitoring it as much as I can and going live 24/7 if I have to. Kimmy, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. JR Mills says, thanks again, Greg, for the live cast. No problem. I enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with you guys. You know, it's hard to really truly speak your mind in a 20-minute video. You know, like the videos, I love doing the video updates, you know, because it gets a lot of information out in a short period of time. And some people just truly love the videos and that's all they watch. They don't care for the live streams. They just want to get all the information in 20 minutes or whatever, 30 minutes at the most. And some people like live streams, you know, but I like the live streams because it allows me time to truly express myself, because it's really hard in a span of 20 minutes to cover all these different things and then have extra time left over for analysis and discussion, you know. So the live streams really allow me to truly express what I'm thinking, you know, instead of just reporting facts to you. Carla Joe says, we enjoy it too, Greg. Thank you. No problem, Carla. Thanks for watching. Ross Snyderman says, we are the best community. And Kat Sui says, if NATO goes in and helps Ukraine, Mr. Pooh will melt down the ZNPP. Yeah, Putler, as many people would say, Putler. Putler. So funny. Putler. Yeah, Putler's going to melt down the Putler's going to melt down the power plant. Yeah. Hey, some of you guys may remember, not everybody, because I picked up a lot of new subscribers, but I remember last year I would say Putin. I would call Putin Putin. And the reason I would say Putin is it's just easier to say. If you have to say his name a lot, it's easier to say Putin than Putin. It's just easier for me. You know, it's easier to say Putin. So I would just say Putin a lot, and people got so mad about that. I don't know why that was, but I would get like hate mail. I mean, people would literally send me emails saying, you're pronouncing his name wrong. Have some respect. And then you'd have like all these trolls in here that would be, bitching about how I say his name. It was just the craziest thing. It's just funny how easily people get triggered because of how you pronounce someone's name. It's like the funniest thing ever. Um, you know, just so funny. Same thing with when I say nuclear forces are on high alert. Some guy just sent me an email tonight while I was streaming saying, "Why do you keep saying nuclear forces are on high alert?" Because I can say whatever I want. It's my channel. Okay. If I want to say that there's 50 pigs flying over my house right now, I can say that. Okay. It's just so funny how people get triggered so easily. It's just so funny. But yeah, that was like a huge thing last year when I would say Putin. People would just they would blow a gasket. It's like I don't understand why, but I guess some people just couldn't stand that. It was pretty funny. Let me see if I can read to you this assessment here from the Institute for the Study of War. This is their daily assessment. There's probably going to be a lot of information in here that's really useful. Reported details of Russian-Ukrainian peace negotiations that occurred in Istanbul in April of 2022 indicate that Russia has consistently envisioned a settlement for its illegal invasion of Ukraine, wherein Ukraine would be unable to defend itself from a future Russian attack, an objective Russia continues to pursue under calls for Ukraine's demilitarization. So, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's peace. Yeah, you have peace. Okay, yeah, we're not going to attack you anymore, but you have to demilitarize. You have to disband your entire military, and only then are we going to stop bombing you every day. I mean, that's the stupidest thing. I mean, if they demilitarize, then that ensures that they can go in and take over everything, right? I mean, just imagine if Ukraine put down all their guns now and they said, "Okay, Russia, we're not gonna fight you anymore. We want the peace treaty," and they put down all their guns, they shut down their air defenses. You think Russia's gonna stop? Hell no. They're gonna take over everything if they did that. So, but that's what Russia was pushing for apparently in Turkey 2 years ago. The Wall Street Journal reported on March the 1st that documents it obtained of the draft treaty from the 2022 Ukrainian-Russian peace negotiations indicate that both sides initially agreed that Ukraine would be a permanently neutral state that doesn't participate in military blocs. The draft treaty also reportedly banned Ukraine from receiving any foreign weapons or hosting any foreign military personnel. The Wall Street Journal reported that Russia pushed for the Ukrainian military to be limited to 85,000 soldiers, 342 tanks, and 519 artillery systems, whereas Ukraine wanted the caps to be 250,000 soldiers, 800 tanks, and 1,900 artillery systems. Russia also reportedly demanded that Ukrainian missiles be limited to a range of 40 kilometers. Oh my gosh. A range that would allow Russian forces to deploy critical systems and material close to Ukraine without fear of strikes. This is insane, guys. They wanted Ukraine to have no more than 85,000 soldiers and 340 tanks. That's insane. Okay, just for comparison, that's like Poland, for example. Poland has like 200,000 soldiers, and they have I think they have over almost 1,000 tanks. So you're talking half the military of Poland, less than half the military of Poland is basically what Russia wanted for Ukraine to have. And then also have missiles with a range of no more than 40 kilometers. That's just ridiculous, It's just it's just so stupid. So I can understand why Ukraine didn't sign the peace treaty because the demands were insane. It's like if they were to sign that treaty, Russia would eventually invade anyway, okay? Because once Ukraine would limit their troops to 85,000 and only 300 tanks, Russia would just find some reason to go in. They would say, "Oh, we detected that you're building up more tanks, so that's giving us a justification now to invade you." we have to invade you now, you know? It's just insane. Putin. Yeah, they were so mad. It's just so funny. One night, I just finally I had enough of it, and I just said Putin like 50 times, back and forth, back to back. I said Putin. You know, because I just had enough of it. You know, people were just getting so triggered. Um, wow, Kate of Buckingham, thank you so much for that donation. Thank you very, very much. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. That's very generous of you. I hope your Friday is going good. Thank you so much. That's incredible. Wow, very generous of you. That is a huge blessing. Yeah, that's a huge blessing. Wow, thank you, Kate. I really appreciate that. Um, thank you so much. I wish I could give you something for that. You know, I don't know if I could give you like a T-shirt or something. That's so nice of you. Thank you. Um, I bet Putin throws like a girl. Yeah, I'm sure he does. Yeah, I'm sure he does throw like a girl. He was doing judo competitions for a while. You know, he was doing judo. Would I ever go over and fight against the Gremlin? I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, Kate definitely rocks. Kate rocks, definitely. I agree. Um, she's definitely the best for sure. Um, no baseball in Russia. Yeah. So this is crazy, guys. That's a serious limit. 85,000 soldiers, 342 tanks. I mean, that's ridiculous. The Kremlin has repeatedly called for demilitarization of Ukraine since its full-scale invasion, but has not previously provided details of what that would specifically entail. The Ukrainian military in 2014, before Russia's first invasion, consisted of 130,000 personnel, and the documents from 2022 indicate that Russia intended to drastically reduce Ukraine's military to such a level that Ukraine could no longer defend itself. There's the key sentence in this whole document here. Okay, Russia intended to drastically reduce Ukraine's military to such a level that it could no longer defend itself. Okay, so that's probably why Ukraine said, "Yeah, go f yourself." You know, we'll take our chances because with that kind of military, I mean, Russia would eventually invade anyway. They just wouldn't do it right away. They would do it in 2 or 3 years, maybe, but they would find some reason. They would say, "Oh, you violated the treaty. We saw on satellite images that you have more than 342 tanks. You have 344 tanks. So now we got to invade you. We got to demilitarize, you know." Russian President Vladimir Putin has most recently emphasized the idea of a demilitarized or sanitary zone in Ukraine that would place Russian territory, including occupied Ukraine, out of range of both Ukrainian frontline artillery and Western provided long range systems. Putin likely aims for the demilitarization of Ukraine to allow him to enforce his will upon Ukraine without any substantial resistance. Okay. So, yeah, he wants to make that sanitary zone. Very interesting. I don't know what that sanitary zone would be. I mean, you know, one way he could create a sanitary zone is by melting down the Zaporizhzhia plant. You know, if he melted down the Zaporizhzhia plant, then that would create a huge sanitary zone in southern Ukraine because that whole area would be contaminated and the Ukrainians wouldn't be able to cross over the river and try to take it back because it would be all radioactive. But those numbers are just ridiculous. 85,000 soldiers, 340 tanks. That's so ridiculous. It's just insane. So that's interesting. We finally have some details that came out about this treaty. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Putler pooping out diarrhea. Yeah, that's right. Too much caviar. I think Putin eats a lot of caviar. They eat a ton of caviar. I know for Putin, because he's one of the most rich people in the world. He probably eats caviar like water. So he's probably just pooping out caviar 24/7. He probably eats nothing but caviar. Spank the Monkey says, look up Reagan's speech, A Time for Choosing. We really need to hear it right now. Yeah, the time for hearing Reagan's speech. Yeah, Reagan was the man. Yeah, we really need Ronald Reagan right now. Ronald Reagan was just the best. I wonder if there's a place I can find it that's not copyrighted. Like maybe the Reagan Foundation has it for public use, and I can play it here on the channel for you guys. Would I go over there and fight against Russia? No. I guess I kind of considered it at one time, but to be honest, I don't think I would. It's there's different reasons for that. I mean, I have considered it though. I did at one point. I was seriously thinking of going there and volunteering at one point. It's just various reasons. At the time, I still had to pay bills and work a 9-to-5 job. I couldn't afford to just disappear from my job. And go and fight a war. Who's going to pay my bills while I'm gone? I mean, even now, if I wanted to go to Ukraine and fight in Avdiivka or something, who's gonna do my channel for me? Who's gonna maintain everything while I'm gone? So on one hand, it sounds great. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go and fight Russians or something, but on the other side, it's not that easy, because life still goes on. And plus the war over there, it's kind of more of an artillery war. So it's kind of different, it's more of like an artillery war. It's just dueling artillery back and forth, back and forth. I don't really know anything about artillery, so not sure how useful I would be, So let me continue reading here. This is very interesting. Reported details of the draft treaty suggest that Russia intended to use the treaty to set conditions for future attacks against Ukraine, while also prompting the West to make concessions on Ukraine's sovereignty. The Wall Street Journal reported that the US, the UK, China, France, and Russia were to be guarantors of the treaty. So, wow, China and France would be guarantors. Interesting. Russia also reportedly wanted to include Belarus as a guarantor. The guarantor states were supposed to terminate international treaties and agreements incompatible with the permanent neutrality of Ukraine, including military aid agreements. The Wall Street Journal did not specify if other non-guarantor states would have to terminate their agreements with Ukraine as well, although this is likely that the treaty would ban Ukraine from having foreign-supplied weapons. It is unclear what Russia considers to be incompatible with a permanently neutral Ukraine, although the Kremlin most certainly would have broadly interpreted this as forbidding Ukraine from joining NATO. So basically, they would have any of the countries that were guarantors of the treaty would have to terminate any existing treaties they had with Ukraine. Any existing treaties or military agreements would have to be terminated. So basically, they wanted Ukraine to have no military and no friends, so they could just go in and invade them anytime they want, essentially. I mean, in that case, I can totally understand why Ukraine told them to go F themselves, because that's not a peace treaty. I mean, that's basically like surrendering, surrendering. That's really what it is. It's not a peace treaty. That's surrendering, So let's see what else. Lots of stuff here. It's a long article here. Maybe I'll take a break and check some other news in the meantime. Kim Cape says, fake news alert. It was not Greg's birthday. That's funny, Kim. That's funny. Yeah, fake news alert. It's not my birthday. I am not a Pisces. Okay, I'm definitely not a Pisces. Alpha Sigma says, shadow ban YouTube is quietly reducing my views. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. My views have been going down the last couple of days, but a lot of people have been telling me the same thing with their channels, that they've noticed their views are going down too. So it could be like a YouTube situation and not just my channel situation. Sometimes they have issues with their computer systems, and I don't know. EM, thank you for the donation, EM. Back in the 90s, Ukraine had the third largest stockpile of nukes. Right. Look what happened. Ukraine signed an agreement with Russia that they would give up their nukes, and in return, Russia promised not to attack them. That was the forget the name of it. What was the name of that treaty? I don't remember. But they signed a treaty. Boris Yeltsin, Bill Clinton, and at the time the president of Ukraine, I don't remember what his name was, but this was going back to the 90s. They signed a treaty. Russia was complaining that Ukraine had nuclear weapons. So Bill Clinton came in. Bill Clinton wasn't the smartest guy, and his mind was somewhere else. Let's just say that. I mean, he was very heavily focused on Monica Lewinsky, and he probably wasn't thinking clearly, in between his dates at the Oval Office with her, and his mind probably wasn't right when he signed that treaty with Yeltsin. But basically, Russia was complaining that Ukraine had nukes. So they said, okay, you have to give up your nukes. And if you give up your nukes, we promise we're not going to invade you. And sure enough, Russia violated that agreement, So, and they ended up invading. So it's, but thank you, EM, for that donation. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a good night. And Kate of Buckingham, wow, what a big donation. Thank you so much. Very grateful for that. The Budapest memorandum. Yeah, Budapest memorandum. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, so if you're Ukraine, Kuchma. Yeah, Kuchma. That's his name. Yes, Kuchma. So, I mean, if you're Ukraine, how are you to believe anything that Putin says at this point? I mean, they were supposed to honor their agreement for the nukes, and they didn't. Now they invaded them. So I think because of all these different situations, I don't think there's going to be any peace in Ukraine. There's no hope for peace. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen based on, the demands from Putin. I mean, these are some pretty serious demands to only have 85,000 soldiers and 300 tanks. I mean, that's like the Baltic countries. That's like Lithuania's army, and no 40-kilometer range missiles. That's 30 miles. That's so. Yeah, there's not going to be any peace with the details coming out here. Let's see what else. There's some good information here. Let's see. Russian authorities suggested that the Kremlin has likely adopted a more extensive set of goals regarding Ukraine over the course of Russia's war against Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov responded to the leaked April 2022 draft agreement between Russia and Ukraine, claiming the draft agreement is no longer relevant and that conditions have changed. Peskov's statements are likely part of a current trend of increased Russian confidence in the Russian military's capabilities and the attainability of Putin's maximalist war objectives following the recent seizure of Avdiivka and prolonged U.S. debates about military aid to Ukraine. The Institute for the Study of War continues to assess that Russian President Vladimir Putin maintains his maximalist objectives in Ukraine, which are tantamount to complete Ukrainian and Western capitulation, and that Russia has no interest in good faith negotiations with Ukraine. So that's interesting. So before the war started, they wanted Ukraine to have only 85,000 soldiers, 300 tanks. And now the Kremlin is saying that even that's not good enough anymore. That even now, basically, they don't want Ukraine to have any military. Okay. And so basically the Kremlin is saying, we're not going to stop until we take over the whole country. Is basically that's the point that Putin is at right now. I think Putin thinks he can outlast the West, and it's working so far. Actually, I'm surprised. I thought that Russia would eventually run out of artillery and stuff because of all the Western countries. But the problem is the Western countries, they haven't gone into wartime production while Russia has. And because of that, they've been able to outproduce the West. Russian President Vladimir Putin appears to disparage Russian elites in his February 29 Federal Assembly speech, more closely aligning himself with the veteran and military community and drawing praise from ultra-nationalist mill bloggers. Putin attempted to distance himself from the Russian elite by claiming that the individuals who line their pockets due to economic processes in the 1990s are not the elite, but that the real elite are workers and military servicemen who prove their loyalty to Russia. Very interesting. Kremlin officials met with the leaders of the pro-Russian Moldovan autonomous region Gagauzia and emphasized Russia's support for Gagauzia against perceived Moldovan oppression. Russian Federation Council chairperson Valentina Matvienko met with Gagauzian Governor Yevgenia Gutzel and People's Assembly chairperson Dmitry Konstantinov in Moscow and criticized Moldovan authorities for Russophobic policies that are supposedly anti-ethical to Moldova's national interests. What else here? So that's pretty interesting. Following the example of Transnistria, so they're basically doing what Transnistria is doing. Gagauzia, I don't really know much about that place, but it looks like, looks like there's going to be something happening in Moldova now, because you have Transnistria and then you also have Gagauzia now, so that might be the next front. Brayan 44, thank you for the donation, Brayan. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you in here, Oleg. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're having a good Friday as well. So yeah, there's a lot of emergency action messages tonight. There was some Russian doomsday frequency playing. I have to get more details on that, but my radio source is telling me that some Russian military channel is broadcasting a lot tonight, and then a lot of emergency action messages were broadcasted today. So U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert, guys. They've been on high alert for the last couple of weeks, and today was just insane. There were 5 nuclear war command and control planes. And Kat Sui says the risk of shooting down balloons, you never know if it is a biochemical weapon to spread into the air. Yeah, that's very interesting. I never even thought of that. That's interesting. Yeah, or they could suspend, nuclear warheads from the balloon and drift the balloon over the US and then drop the warhead. And because the balloon flies low, they can't detect it with the radar. That's what I think these balloons are, these Chinese balloons. I think it's a new type of nuclear weapon. I think they figured out a very clever way to defeat our early warning systems, which is literally just take a balloon and put a warhead on it and drift it over the US. And if they can get those balloons to fly low enough, it would basically be like a cruise missile. It would be even better than a cruise missile because it wouldn't have any signature at all. It would just be floating in the air. They could do all kinds of things with that type of balloon. There's so many things they could do, like biochemical weapons. They could put chemical weapons and deliver them that way. Like sarin or something. They could drift one over, San Francisco and deploy sarin gas or some nerve agents or something. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff they could do. Rob Dutcher says, Greg, always good to get these updates. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. Let me see. Someone said chemtrails. So yeah, interesting situation in Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Well, apparently there was some kind of an argument between Polish and Ukrainian truck drivers at the Ukrainian border with Poland. Actually, I'm sorry. It was Ukrainian truck drivers and Polish police. Wow. So apparently the Polish police blocked the Ukrainian truckers. Says here, Ukrainian diplomats have helped settle an argument between Ukrainian truckers and Polish police who blocked them near the Korchova checkpoint at the Polish-Ukrainian border. It says here, Polish police had been persuaded to penalize Ukrainian drivers for holding an unauthorized gathering. Interesting. Huh. Wow. So it's tense situation there between Poland and Ukraine now. The relations are deteriorating rapidly. So that's not a good sign. The relations are deteriorating. They could fly a balloon with infected ticks. Yeah, they could drop infected ticks. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's something that actually the U.S. did in the Cold War. They had mosquitoes and they dropped mosquitoes. They were testing the delivery of biological weapons with mosquitoes. So they loaded mosquitoes onto a plane and they flew over. I forget which state it was, and they released like millions of mosquitoes, and they wanted to see if the mosquitoes could survive being dropped from a plane, very high up. And they could definitely drop infected ticks or something. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, or fleas with bubonic plague, right? Yep. Yeah, things continue to escalate, Ross. I totally agree. Will Poland close the border to Ukraine? From what I understand is that they might, both Ukraine and Poland may close their borders to each other, is what I heard the other day, that basically they're going to give it a couple of more weeks to try to work something out. And from what I heard is that if they don't work out an agreement, then Ukraine and Poland are going to shut their borders to each other. So that would be bad if that happens. Obviously, worse for the worst would be for Ukraine, not so much Poland. Poland would actually benefit from that because they wouldn't have all the cheap grain coming in. But for Ukraine, that would be terrible because then Ukraine can't sell their grain to the EU. And what could even happen? I know this may sound crazy, but imagine if Ukraine attacked Poland. Like if, let's say, Ukraine said, it's you have to open your border. We need you to open the border, otherwise we can't sell our grain to the European market. And if you don't open the border, we're going to have to use military force to keep it open. And wouldn't that be crazy if Ukraine deployed forces to the Polish border to like force the border open or something? That would be crazy. I could see that happening because Ukraine is so they need that grain to go to Europe. They're very dependent on selling that grain to Europe. And if Poland shuts the border down, that would be catastrophic for Ukraine. That could prompt them to do something crazy. So, and they have all these new weapons now that they could use against Poland. Hopefully that wouldn't happen, but it could. I mean, you never know, guys. Things can really change quick. But it feels like World War II essentially, because it feels like World War II, like this is like 1939 all over again. With Putler going after Ukraine, it's like the same thing as Hitler when he went after Poland. Hitler went after Poland, and France and the U.S. and Britain. They thought, oh, who cares about Poland? Let Hitler have it. Let him take Poland. As long as he takes Poland and he doesn't go any further, we're okay with that. And that's what they were thinking, because they didn't want to deal with Hitler. They said, let him go for Poland. Let him take it over. He's not going to go any further. And then what did he do? He attacked France, and then he attacked, all of Europe, and he conquered all of Europe, basically from Scandinavia all the way down to North Africa within just a couple of years, in a very short period of time. And so I feel like it's kind of the same situation. History repeats itself. Like with Putler, he's going after Ukraine, and you have like the same countries as during World War II, France, Great Britain, and the U.S. turning their back against Ukraine essentially and saying, well, we're not going to get involved. We don't want a nuclear war. We're not going to get involved. Let him have Ukraine. Who cares? But that's the thing, is he's not going to stop. Once he gets Ukraine, it's going to be the next thing. And then after that, something else. And then, he has that, that it's like a shark, the feeding frenzy. You put a drop of blood in the water and the shark goes crazy, and that's basically what it is. Ukraine is like a feeding frenzy for Putin. And once he's done with Ukraine, he's going to go somewhere else after. I personally, that's what I believe. I don't think he's going to stop at Ukraine. I think he's going to go for other places like Moldova, the Baltics, and who knows where else. Kat Sui says, if Russia goes for the west of Ukraine, the people have nowhere to go. Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy if Russia went to Western Ukraine. I mean, they could, because there's not a lot of troops in Western Ukraine. All of Ukraine's troops are in the eastern part of the country. So if they came down from Belarus, which Russia already has like 50,000 troops in Belarus now, they could come down from Belarus and, take the western part of Ukraine. But I don't know if they would do that. I mean, it's possible, though. It could happen. I mean, it's very possible. And if that happened, maybe Poland would try to go in and take the western part of Ukraine, so this way Russia doesn't take it, and they would try to at least capture Lviv before Russia got it. But I don't see Russia doing that, but anything's possible. I mean, you can't rule anything out. That was the mistake that people made in World War II, is they ruled things out. They said, well, Hitler wouldn't do this, Hitler wouldn't do that. And he did everything that nobody thought he would do. Hitler went after Britain. He went after Russia. He went all the way to Stalingrad. He was going to try to take all of Russia, and he came very close to taking all of Russia, guys. And then, he was sending U-boats to the U.S., and he would have went after the U.S. afterwards. After he got Russia, he would have went to the U.S. and tried to take us out and conquer us. He wanted to dominate the whole world. He was nuts. And nobody thought that anybody in their right mind would do that, but they did, because they weren't in their right mind. They were fanatics. They were nuts. They had, concentration camps, okay? So the thing is we apply our way of thinking to crazy people. And the thing is crazy people, they don't think like a normal person, okay? They're not living in reality. They don't think the same way we do, okay? So you cannot apply your logic to Putin, because Putin is crazy. Okay, he's not thinking the same way that a normal person is. So you cannot say, "Oh, he would never do this. He would never do that." That would be crazy. He would never do that. Well, that's exactly what he did. Is what people thought he wouldn't do. He did. Putin will win the election by 92% again. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to reelect himself. He's going to basically reelect himself is what he's going to do. John says Russia does not have to take Western Ukraine. If Russia takes the eastern part of Ukraine, it will economically take the West. Yes, that's true. Yeah, Western Ukraine, there's not much economy there. It's mostly like mountains and farms. So yeah, that's true. That's true. Plus, Western Ukraine would be a good buffer zone for Russia in Putin's eye, because he doesn't want to be right next to Poland and Romania and NATO. He would rather have Western Ukraine remain as like a buffer zone, as like a neutral buffer. That's what he would prefer. But never say never. I mean, you just never know. Good night, 2K Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. There's a Chinese balloon over Alaska. No, there is not a Chinese balloon over Alaska, guys. Somebody started this fake news thing about a Chinese balloon over Alaska. That's not true. The fishermen in Alaska found a balloon in the water, and they don't know how long it's been at sea. So it's not over Alaska. Some balloon, they don't even know if it's Chinese, first of all. So that's just fake news that somebody started, and it's going around on the internet, but there's no Chinese balloon over Alaska. Just had to clarify that. We need Putin to take a cognitive test. I'm sure Putin's brain is working fine. He's just insane, He's just nuts. I'm sure his brain is working fine. It's just he's just nuts. John says it's my balloon, so let's not talk about that. That's funny. It's your balloon. Yeah, it wasn't my birthday. Yeah, I don't know where that started. That's funny. Yeah, there's no balloon over Alaska. There's no balloon over Alaska. That's just some fake news. I don't know who started it, either on purpose or by accident. That's been going around, but there is no balloon over Alaska. Some fishermen found a balloon that crashed in Alaska, and they don't know if it's Chinese or what. So yeah, maybe he is possessed. Yeah, he could be possessed. Yeah. He could be, the devil could be giving him the strength he has. The devil can do a lot of the same miracles that Jesus can do. The devil can basically, the devil has the same powers that Jesus has, and that's where many people fall for the devil, is that the devil promises everything, and he gives people strength and health, but you always have to do something for him. But yeah, Putin is definitely getting his strength from the devil, that's for sure. Definitely. Mr. Fister says happy birthday started over at Funker 5:30. At least for me, it's just a running joke amongst friends. Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I've heard of Funker 5:30. I've watched that channel a couple of times, but I must have missed that joke. That's pretty funny though. Yeah, the devil cannot create. That's a good point. Yeah. The devil cannot create. Yep. Very true. Very true. See here. Some other stuff I wanted to read to you here. What else? Oh yeah, the Israeli military is updating its list of Hezbollah targets, refilling ammunition stockpiles and emergency depots to prepare for war. This is coming from Mariv Online. Israel is also coordinating with the U.S. to clarify that Lebanon's infrastructure will be hit in a full-scale war. Wow, that's pretty serious. Wow. See, Lithuania closing the border. Yeah, so that's pretty much all the latest headlines. I've covered it all. But I'll definitely have more headlines tomorrow. Wow, this is crazy. In Russia, apparently, Russian police were screaming at people who were showing up to Navalny's funeral, telling them to keep moving quickly. Apparently, they had body scanners and dogs. Just because of a funeral, that's just ridiculous. Let me show you guys the footage here. Let me see. So this was at Navalny's funeral, and these are Russian police over here. People, I don't know what they're throwing in the. What are they throwing there in the grave in the? What are they? They're throwing some. They have these things here, and they're throwing some stuff in there. I don't know if that's a Russian tradition or something. Here's the Russian police standing there. Look at all these people, though. I mean, just a wall of people showing up for Navalny. So I don't think it's over, guys. I think we're going to see something happen in Russia soon. I think, you have a lot of people that followed him. It may not happen right away, but I think we're going to see something happen. So yeah, I'm going to actually be doing a more nuclear. Oh, coins. Yeah, maybe coins or dirt. Yeah, dirt or coins. Yeah. I'm going to be trying to do more nuclear war survival videos. I've taken a break from them for a while, but I'm going to try to do some more nuclear war survival content. I have some stuff planned for that, and my fictional show Dark Winter, I'm going to do some episodes of that soon. So that's going to be coming back. I know a lot of you guys asked me about that. Justin Wenzel, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. I appreciate it, Justin. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a good Friday. Thank you very much. Yeah, so yeah, lots of people showing up here. Look at this. Looks like they had a checkpoint here. Look, you see the Russian police here. They have a checkpoint. You see, they have these body scanners. I mean, this is insane. They're scanning people before they go into a funeral. I don't know. I guess maybe they think someone's going to try to. I don't know. It's weird. Very strange. I don't know what to make of that. Thank you so much, Justin. Justin Wenzel. Thank you again. I appreciate it. Spank the Monkey says if you take and put two Baofeng radios together to make a repeater and send it up on a balloon on rope to 500 or 1,000 feet, you will have hundreds of miles of coverage on 5-watt walkie-talkies. Interesting. I didn't know that. I guess that makes sense because, if you have an antenna, the antenna makes a huge difference. So that's very interesting. I have to read more about that. Mockingjay, when is my birthday? That's a secret. I don't like to give out my birthday, but yeah, I'm sorry. I don't like to give it out publicly. I guess if you email me, maybe I'll tell you, but I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it publicly. What sign am I? I don't know. Take a guess. What sign do you guys think I am? If you were to guess, what's my astrological sign? Take a guess, and I'll let you guys know if you're close or not. Taurus? No, I'm not a Taurus. That's interesting, though. Aries, Leo, Gemini. It's pretty close, actually. Those are pretty close. Aries, Leo, Gemini. Those are pretty close. Yeah, people have thought I was a Scorpio. I don't know why that is, but yeah, people think I'm a Scorpio. Definitely not a Capricorn. I'm very bad with money. Cancer. There is part of my astrological sign. I do have Cancer in my chart. I do have a good amount of Cancer in my chart. I'm not too big on zodiac signs, but Greg's sign is Exxon. Definitely not a Virgo. Yeah, I'm not a Virgo. I'm not very organized. Some good guesses here. You guys got pretty close. There's some good guesses here. We got Scorpio and Aries, Leo. Those are the closest ones. My sign is Chevy. That's funny. That's funny. J.R. Mills says I'm a Scorpio. Can I check on the fire chart more often? Yeah, I can check on the fire chart right now, actually. Yeah, that's a good idea. I can check on the fire chart. It's a good idea. I didn't check it today. Wow. Suddenly all the fires in Texas disappeared. That's weird. Look at this, guys. There's no fires in North Texas anymore. Is that right? That doesn't look right. Look, there was a whole bunch of fires here and now suddenly they're gone. Is that right? That doesn't make any sense. They must be hiding it. That's crazy. Smith and Wesson is my sign. There's some good guesses here. Leo and Aries are the closest. Leo and Aries are the closest, so that I'll give you guys a hint. Leo and Aries are the closest to me. Um, but yeah, this is strange. Look, all the fires are gone. That's so bizarre. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if there's anybody in North Texas that can vouch for that. Um, Anybody living in North Texas here? And, are you seeing any smoke anywhere? Probably rained it out. Yeah, maybe. Cat Sui says listening mode, need a nap. Sounds good, Cat Sui. Enjoy your nap and thanks for listening. Yeah, this is so bizarre. Fires are just gone. It's crazy. Um, I don't know how this map though, it's like they're showing fires in Pennsylvania. I don't know of any fires in Pennsylvania. So I don't know. It's just weird. We go to Ukraine, there's a bunch of fires too, but a lot of them got put out. Some bunch of fires here, Eastern Ukraine. There were a bunch of them, like hundreds of them, a couple days ago. So yeah, that's really strange. Weird. So yeah, I guess the fires are gone. I have a few Taurus friends. I get along well with Taurus people. I have a few friends that are Tauruses. Two of my closest friends are actually Tauruses. I get along pretty good with them. Snowed in Amarillo. Oh, okay. Interesting. 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 So I don't know if any of you guys had a chance to check out my all day stream I had this week with like 16 cameras. I don't know if you guys like that. If you guys would like me to do more of those types of streams where I just have cameras and flight trackers and stuff going, and I pop in periodically, say hello and stuff. I was thinking of doing that more often, especially when the news picks up. Mojo says I like them. Okay. We got a pretty quiet situation for now over the U.S. compared to earlier, but it's going to start picking up. I expect within the next 2 or 3 hours, we're going to see a bunch of planes popping up here in Eastern Europe. Let's just see what's going on here in the Middle East. Yeah, it's pretty quiet right now. Even in the Middle East, it's pretty quiet. There's one Eurofighter Typhoon in Qatar. Usually now it's pretty dead. Oh, this is interesting. We have a Russian Sukhoi 100 special flight squadron just took off from Sochi. It's interesting. This is where Putin has his mansion over here, his bunker. That's where Putin has his giant bunker mansion in somewhere over here in Adler. I wonder if that's Putler on that plane. It's pretty quiet right now. Otherwise, let me just check the space weather, see if there's any flares. Pretty quiet with the solar flares. We had all those X-class flares last week, and now it died down. So nothing really too crazy with the solar flares. We do have a bunch of little sunspots, but nothing too serious. There's the sun right there. You can see all these sunspots, but nothing really too insane. There's a bunch of snow coming to the Rockies, Northern California, Southern Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming. The Rocky Mountains are going to get a ton of snow. There's blizzard warnings in California. Let's check some of these warnings out. They look pretty intense. Good night, Carla Joe. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your support. Good night, Kim Cape. Maybe a second channel with just cameras and feeds like Duramax. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like Duramax or Lee Wilbarger. Yeah, those guys got me into that. Lee Wilbarger and Duramax got me into all that. What's going on, Britt Jewel? Let's check out some of the snow here in California, Nevada. Look at these blizzard warnings. This is insane. Massive blizzard warnings in effect for California. Absolutely insane. Let's see here. Blizzard conditions likely, particularly through Saturday morning. There is a 10 to 20% chance of thunderstorms along the crest through this evening with snowfall rates of 4 to 6 inches per hour. What the heck? I don't think I've ever experienced snowfall of 4 to 6 inches per hour. That's insane. Snow accumulations between 3 and 6 feet for Lake Tahoe communities, with 6 to 10 feet above 7,000 feet. Winds gusting to 70 miles per hour in the lower elevations and over 115 miles an hour over Sierra ridges with significant drifting of snow. Wow, that is insane. 3 to 6 feet in Lake Tahoe and 115 mile per hour winds. Wow. Yeah, Lake Tahoe is going to get pounded. Whiteout conditions with near zero visibility at times. Travel will be treacherous and potentially life-threatening. I'm going to see if I can get a camera over there. Wow. That is absolutely insane, guys. Let me see if I can find a camera. Maybe we can see the snow coming down right now. Let me see if there's any cameras in Lake Tahoe. Wow. That is just ridiculous. Wow. That's insane. Oh, yeah, there's one right on the lake here. Hopefully it'll work. That is just ridiculous. It says, do not travel. If you must travel, have a winter survival kit with you. If you get stranded, stay in your vehicle. Unbelievable. That is insane. Even some areas are going to get even more. They're saying 5 to 10 feet with some areas in Lassen Park. But it looks like Lake Tahoe is going to get hit. Looks like Lake Tahoe is like right in the middle of it all. Wow. Absolutely insane. Wow. Just ridiculous. See if I can get any cameras from over there. We can look at the snow coming down. I'm sure some of the ski areas probably have a camera. Wow. That's just insane. I've never been to Lake Tahoe. I'd love to go there. Even though California's, basically like a communist country, but John Hoover says, Greg, there's something interesting. AOC and the squad went to Cuba unannounced, and at the same time that Russian plane left Cuba the other night. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, there was that strange plane that left Cuba. U.S. It was a Russian military plane. Very strange. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. That was really weird. Yeah, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Yeah, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Basically, what happened there was some gunfire heard on the grounds of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant on Wednesday. And then there was apparently some kind of drone attack. The Ukrainians supposedly tried to uh, attack some building in near the nuclear power plant with a drone. So that's some of the big news. And they're supposed to reconnect one of the backup power lines soon. But yeah, there was apparently gunfire at the power plant. So, uh, that's pretty crazy. We got a live camera from Lake Tahoe. I'm going to see if I can get it up on the screen. Yeah, this looks live. It's not the best camera, but something. Wow. Let's check out the camera here. Look, this is the Pioneer Trail, Lake Tahoe, where they're getting 4 to 6 inches of snow per hour. I mean, that's insane. Sometimes over here we can get snow squalls that'll snow that much, but it only lasts like 30 minutes or an hour. So it's like a heavy snow squall and then it stops. Juliana Rose, thank you for the donation. I've been telling you this for an hour. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have missed it. I'm sorry. You were talking about the snow in California. Yeah, they're saying the National Weather Service is saying 115-mile-an-hour winds. That's just ridiculous. And up to 10 feet of snow in some areas. I mean, that is just insane. 145-mile-per-hour winds and 12 feet of snow in the mountains of Nevada. Wow. Yeah, it looks like a UFO landing. Yeah, that's the live camera of Lake Tahoe somewhere, some intersection. There's some street lights there. It's a good time to go off-roading, have some fun in the snow with the 4x4. Yeah, it is crazy. Or Oleg, yeah, it's 6 to 10 feet of snow. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, they get some crazy snow there in the high elevations, and then the winds, 115-mile-an-hour winds. It's a little bit hard to see on this camera, but if you look closely, you can actually see the wind shaking those street lights there. The street lights are like moving. That's like hurricane force. And there's someone driving. Look, there's a light coming down the road. Someone's actually driving in this. Yeah, no thanks. I wouldn't drive in that. Even with my truck, I wouldn't go in that kind of snow. Um, that's just so much snow, you get buried right away. Yeah, this person's driving. Look, that's insane. Wow. I mean, you can't even keep up with that kind of snow. You can't plow 4 to 6 inches an hour. It's like you plow and then the snow is back again as soon as you're done. Um, yeah, they're saying up to 115-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Let me see what other forecasts here in the West. They also have blizzard warnings in Nevada here. Yeah, Nevada, they're supposed to get a bunch of snow also. Let's see, what do they say for Nevada? Nevada is supposed to get not actually. Nevada's not getting as much. They're getting 8 to 20 inches of snow with winds gusting up to 75 miles an hour. That's some strong wind, but they're not going to get 10 feet of snow like California. Um, that's insane, man. That's crazy. So yeah, massive snow there in California, and see what else here. Jim McKay says I've driven in it. Is that level of wind with snow normal? It doesn't sound normal. I mean, I know they get a lot of snow over there, but 115-mile-an-hour winds with that much snow, that's crazy. It's really the wind that's just seems unusual. Just doesn't seem right. I've never heard of 100-mile-an-hour winds, and I guess it makes sense if because of the mountains. The wind accelerates over the mountains, so I guess that could be why. Oh yeah, there's another car. Look, the car's going through the intersection. Look at that. Wow, these people are brave. Yeah, that's not worth driving in. You're going to get stuck in that kind of weather. I don't care what vehicle you have, unless you have a snowmobile, you're getting stuck. It must have just started, so maybe it's not so bad on the road, but wow. Let's see if I can get another camera here. This is interesting now. I may have to do an all-night stream and cover it. Just leave the camera up and see the snow coming down. That would be cool. Let's see. I'm trying to find a good camera where you can clearly see the snow piling up. There's some like resort here. They have a camera at these resorts, but they do a time lapse. Yeah, Lake Tahoe is amazing. I'm sure it's beautiful there. It looks really beautiful. It's just so unfortunate the politicians in California ruin it with all their BS, but Lake Tahoe is probably one of the most beautiful areas in America, I would say. You know? Yep, Sagittarius. Yep. That's right. Oregon Preparedness says Lake Tahoe is one of my favorite places. Oh, yeah, I think you told me that actually. I think you told me that once. Yeah, it looks so beautiful there. It's high up in the mountains. It doesn't look too crowded either. It doesn't look like it gets super crowded. A lot of nice like resorts there. It's crazy that back in the day, like 100 years ago, California was full of grizzly bears. If you were going to Lake Tahoe like 100 years ago, or even a little longer, you would have run into grizzly bears over there. Grizzly bears and wolves. It was full of bears. California used to be full of grizzly bears back in the day. Now they have a ton of black bears, but let's see if there's any other cameras I can find. There's some camera here, but it's covered in snow. Oh, this one looks crazy. It's a little bit fuzzy, but you can see the wind in this camera. If you look at the light, the traffic light, and you can see that snow blowing. That looks crazy. Yeah, every time I think of like Lake Tahoe and I see the snow, I always think of that movie, The Shining. That I always think of that movie because there's all that snow and they're up on that mountain over there. I always think of The Shining when I'm looking at this street cam and it looks like The Shining. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, it is gorgeous. Yeah, it is gorgeous, Oleg, for sure. Here's Johnny. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Here's Johnny. Yeah, The Shining. The California grizzly was the largest in North America. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's new. That's new for me. I see. I never knew that. Black bears still swim in Lake Tahoe. Oh, wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't know they. I mean, I know black bears swim a lot, but it's cool that they swim in Lake Tahoe. Rebel says people watching Yellowstone want to move to Montana and Wyoming. Just think if they get snow like this. Yeah, Montana and Wyoming are, especially I would say Wyoming is probably even worse, um, because it's all flat ground, and the wind is so brutal and it's super cold. I'd say Montana is probably milder than Wyoming because they have the mountains that kind of block the Arctic air. But like eastern Montana and Wyoming, they have that cold prairie weather. Like North Dakota, the Arctic air comes in because it's flat and wide open, and the temperatures drop to like minus 30, and then you have 60, 70 mile an hour winds every day. I mean, no thanks. I don't want to live there. But yeah, like western Montana and the mountains is beautiful there. Western Montana, Idaho. It's probably more mild there than Wyoming. Wow, someone just drove their car. They weren't even driving a 4x4. They were just driving a regular passenger car there. That's insane. Let's see. Where's that camera? That camera is like just north of Lake Tahoe in Truckee, California. That's where that camera is located, I think. Kinman claimed to have shot a total of 800 grizzly bears in a single month and over 50 elk. 800 grizzly bears? That's insane. That's such a waste. What did they do with what do you do with 800 bears? I guess he just left them there. It's such a waste. That's such a waste. That's interesting about the California grizzly. I'm going to probably read about that later. When I have some free time now, I'm going to read about the California grizzly. It's very interesting. Tammy says, I lived in Montana. I was guarding the Minuteman missiles. Oh, wow, Tammy. Wow, that's interesting. Wow. So you were up in Great Falls then. I'm sure you probably had some really cold weather there in those prairies, right? With the wind and stuff. It sounds like a real brutal environment to work in. The grizzly was extirpated from California. They were hunted out. Just the same reason why a lot of animals were extirpated from the eastern U.S. They were killed off. People were scared of them, so they killed them off, basically. John Hoover says the last time it was that white in Austin, a Colombian drug plane offed its load. That's funny. Wow, that's a good one. Mockingjay says there would be even more poop in the streets. That's funny. Poop on the streets. That's funny. Yeah, that is awful, killing that many bears. 800 bears. That's insane. I mean, you got to keep the population in check, obviously, but that's just straight up slaughter, They were just slaughtering them because they were afraid They wanted to settle California, so they wanted to kill all the animals. So, because they were scared of them. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. It would be cool if there were grizzlies there. Honestly, it would make things more interesting. I think if they had some grizzlies. Yeah, it looks like the heaviest snow is going to be in California. Actually, of all the western states, it looks like California is supposed to get the most. There's also going to be a bunch of snow in Idaho and Yellowstone. They're under winter storm warnings right now. Let's see what Yellowstone is. Let's see what's the forecast for Yellowstone right now. Right now it's 23 degrees Fahrenheit in Yellowstone, and tonight it's going down to 19. Sunday it's only going to be 15 degrees in Yellowstone with a low of -1. Wow. That's actually not too cold for Yellowstone. That's actually on the warm side. They have a winter storm warning through tonight. Heavy snow expected. Total accumulations of 1 to 2 feet across the park. 4 to 8 inches near Mammoth, and locally up to 3 feet on the Pitchstone Plateau. Winds gusting as high as 50 miles an hour. Yeah, a lot of people go snowmobiling in Yellowstone. You can go snowmobiling there in the winter, but it's like so much snow. It's like 10 or 20 feet of snow that you're snowmobiling on top of. It's insane. What's the storm going to do after it passes California? That's a great question. Um, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to go past California. I think it's just moisture coming off of the ocean. That's just moisture coming from the Pacific. So I don't think it's going to go inland. Um, yeah, we can look at Eagle Pass. We'll check out some of the webcams. They have some webcams we can look at here. Let's check out Eagle Pass. It's a live webcam from Eagle Pass. You can see the National Guard there. That's the bridge. I think this is going towards Mexico, I believe. Yeah, I think this is going towards Mexico. There's barbed wire here on the bridge, on the side of the bridge. I think the Rio Grande River is over there, further down. But yeah, that snow is just incredible. I wouldn't mind being in Lake Tahoe now in a nice cabin somewhere. I wouldn't be going anywhere in this kind of weather, just sitting at home and watching the snow pile up on the porch, drinking some hot tea. That's what you do in this kind of weather. Mockingjay says Russia is sending the bears Putin's spies. LOL, he rides one. Yeah, that was funny with Putin with his bear and stuff. Yeah, that was funny back in the day. All of Putin's little antics, the horseback riding, and when he was sunbathing in Siberia and tranquilizing the tiger. Remember that, when he was tranquilizing the tiger? It was like they were trying to make him out to be like James Bond or something. It was so funny. It was like every week he was doing some other crazy thing. My guess is Putin probably had a midlife crisis. I think that's what it was, because this was like going back 15 years ago, so he would have been like in his 50s. So he probably had like a midlife crisis, and he figured, you know what? Now's the time for me to go and do all these things I never had time to do. You know, that's probably what it was. Um, My brother is about to go to Vegas. Oh, Vegas is probably okay. Uh, Maybe what you do, Greg, I need to teach you about snow bunnies. That's funny. That's funny. Um, I think Putin is now in his he's past his midlife crisis. I don't know what he would be now. It's a retirement crisis. I don't know. Retirement crisis. So it was fun hanging out with you guys tonight. I like these streams, just hanging out and chatting. It's kind of more laid back, you know. Uh, let's see. Let's check the front lines here in Ukraine and see if there's any changes in the front line. This is eastern Ukraine here. Here we have this is just outside of Donetsk. Looks like Russia gained some more ground right here near Marinka. Look, they gained a little bit of land. So yeah, Russia is taking a little bit at a time every day. Check that out. So I think the next big battle looks like it's going to be for Chasiv Yar. That's going to be the next big battle. Chasiv Yar, they're going to fight for that. Chasiv Yar and Pokrovsk, I think those are going to be the next big fights. And Kostiantynivka, those are going to be the next big ones. Lily Highlander says, when it clears, the lake is gorgeous and the air is fresh. Drive over the pass into Reno and Carson City. Carson City history is awesome. The old mining towns, the original Wild West towns. Yeah, those are some awesome areas. I'd love to go there and explore those areas. That would be amazing. I would love that. I've heard of all the history of that area. That's where they had the 49ers and the gold rush. That was like the first big gold rush before people started going to Alaska. There's probably still a lot of gold over there, I'm sure. Putin is very evil and he always has a very vague smirk on his face, like killing people is funny. Yeah, Putin has like this. Yeah, he's kind of Putin has like this evil smirk. He has this very arrogant. He has this very arrogant smirk. You know, I know exactly what you mean. Pamela says, I love Greg's chat group. Do I ever play Fallout? I have played Fallout. Yeah, you know, I might even actually play it now after the stream. Yeah, I haven't played Fallout in like a year, but I've only started the first one. I haven't had a chance to play it really. Just always so busy, you know. Yeah, all that nice farmland. Good night, Fred. Thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you. I'll catch up with you for sure. Putin is going to quickly take Moldova with 100,000 troops secretly in Transnistria. Yeah, it's very possible. Very possible. Oh, there was an earthquake in Poltava. That's weird. What is that? Is that normal? Do they have earthquakes there? I didn't even know that. Um, that's very interesting. Looks like Russia made some movements here. They moved their forces closer. Interesting. Seems like Russia's focusing mostly on Donetsk. Donetsk and Bakhmut is where they're mostly concentrated. If you look here, all the forces are here near Donetsk and Bakhmut. Oh, this is interesting. The plane just disappeared. This Russian special flight squadron turned its transponder off. That's interesting. Maybe it is Putin on there or some VIP. Looks like another. Oh, this is interesting. Look, an Antonov 124. This is part of Putin's flight squadron. It's Putin's personal flight squadron, the 224th Flight Unit. That's Putin's personal flight unit. Just took off from somewhere south of Moscow. That's interesting. The earthquake in Poltava. What's going on, Chris Dunlop? Yeah, very long night, Blue Angel. Yeah, very long night. Yeah, it is a very long night for sure. Yeah, Lake Tahoe is crystal clear. Yeah, it's Friday night though. I mean, it's Friday night, so I don't care. I don't mind staying up late on a Friday. Alpha Sigma says, thanks, Greg. Was fun and scary. Love this channel and all you awesome folks here. This is a wonderful community. Good night. God bless. Yeah, it could be a nuclear test. Yeah, let me check the USGS and see. That's interesting. See what the latest quakes are. Um, that's weird though. That's strange. I don't see anything on the USGS. They're not showing any quakes in Ukraine, but maybe they just I don't know, didn't register yet or something. I don't know. Christopher James says you want to be a mod. Sounds good, Christopher. I'll keep you in mind. I'll keep you in mind, Christopher. Thank you for the offer. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Pamela says I love Friday and Saturday night. It's been a long week. We unwind here. Yeah, it has been a very long week. That's why I was thinking on the weekends maybe I can do those all day streams where I stream all day. People could come in and hang out. I could have the cameras going. Maybe that's better to do on weekends. I don't know. Smoking Swamp says I'm here and I'm listening. Thank you, Smoking Swamp. I thought maybe you fell asleep, which I wouldn't blame you for anyway if you did, but but I think I'm gonna have to wind it down in a couple minutes here. I gotta go do some stuff and I gotta go and relax a little myself because the news cycle is nonstop. So I'm sure I already missed a bunch of news in the last 3 hours. Gotta catch up on it already. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. It was fun. Appreciate all your support. We got this KC-135 here going to Sweden, it looks like. Aerial refueler. They're moving a lot of stuff here to Scandinavia now. It's very interesting. PJ Child of God says, I really appreciate this channel. I'm glad I found it. Oh, thank you so much. That was so kind of you to say. Thank you. I'm glad you found me. My son went to go see Dune 2, said it was pretty good. I actually haven't seen the first Dune. I read the books when I was a kid, but I never saw the actual movies. I should probably go and check it out. Do a 24-hour cam tonight. Yeah, maybe I could do that. I was thinking that's a possibility. I could set up the cameras overnight. That's definitely a possibility. Thanks for taking the time to chit-chat with us. Opening minds may not agree, but is uplifting while downpouring. Rob Dutcher says, I feel human again, Greg. When things are bad, I like to listen. Other good feelings is thinking about my girl and Wyoming. PJ Child of God says, it was a long day. I took emergency blankets and Mylar bags and wrapped up my solar generator and panel, a laptop, flashlights, batteries, and various other electronics. Tomorrow we're can shopping. That's really good. I'm glad to hear that you wrapped up your solar generator. That's really good. That's a really smart thing to do. And yeah, getting canned food is good to have canned food because you can just open it and eat it, right away. So, yeah, I think I'm going to wind down the live stream. Amy King says it's my birthday. It's been raining all day. There was a break in the rain. So I hopped in one of my creeks looking for arrowheads and I found a small medicine bowl shaped like a turtle. Wow, happy birthday, Amy. Happy birthday. That's really cool. Happy birthday to you. That sounds like fun. Looking for arrowheads. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I was considering maybe leaving the stream up overnight, but I think most people are probably going to go to sleep. Maybe I'll set it up tomorrow. I'm not sure. Rest up. Thank you, Lily. Yeah, happy birthday, Amy. Once again, happy birthday. I wish that you have an excellent year the next year and good health and happiness. And may all your dreams come true. Good night, Mockingjay. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for all your support. Amy King says, thank you, Greg. I found a lot of good stuff. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad. I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. I guess it was raining, so you may have to celebrate it tomorrow, maybe. It's nice to have a birthday on the weekend, though. You can celebrate the whole weekend. Go out, get some food, hang out with your family or something. Mojo says, great stream. Thank you, Mojos. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Chris Bacon, good to see you, Chris Bacon. Good night, Blue Angel. Thanks for tuning in. And Aldo, thanks for tuning in, Aldo. I appreciate all your support. Davis08, Mockingjay, thank you guys so much. So yeah, I think I'm going to wind it down. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates. I don't know if I'll go live or not, or what I'm going to do. I haven't decided yet, but I'll definitely be back tomorrow. Pamela says, Greg, always a great stream. Thank you, Pamela. It's awesome to see you in here. It's great to hang out with all you guys. I really enjoy it. It's really relaxing for me. Titan Intel says, good night, Greg. Thank you, Titan. Good night to you too. Yeah, hopefully I can do more of these types of streams where they're more laid back. Maybe I'll do some of the all day streams where I stream all day. You know, that's a good opportunity to just hang out and talk and go over the news. But thank you guys so much for all your support. I appreciate it. And I guess I'll see you guys soon. So have a good night. Sleep well. And until next time, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.